Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Jay and this video is not what I had planned this week, but I'll explain why when we get into it. So apologies, I had hoped to give you a retro quest this week. It was going to be Wolverine Adamantium's Revenge. It's going to be a couple of weeks down the line now. The main reason for that is that I've got something pretty exciting going on, which is something that I've been wanting to do for probably 3 or 4 years now, maybe more, and I'm finally getting to do it. It's going to make big changes to the games room in a positive way, and it's going to give me a whole new space to do projects and craft things and make things that I've always wanted to, which probably won't feature on this channel given that it's a gaming focus, but it's a big change for me and for this space. So let me get into explaining what that's all about. So it should be no secret that I am into tech, gadgets, as well as all of my gaming. Gaming is a massive part of my life, but it's not the only thing that I'm into. And early on with this channel, I actually experimented with doing kind of tech-focused stuff and pivoting backwards and forwards with gaming and other subjects, but it was very clear from the algorithm that people didn't like that change. They either wanted the gaming content or the tech content, and maybe the crafting content, but not all three from the same person on the same channel. So I kind of focused on the gaming because that seemed to be where I was getting the most attention, and to be honest, it was where I was spending most of my time and money. But I've always enjoyed making things, building things, painting things, and all of the above. And over the years, I've amassed a series of tools, both kind of workshop-y space that can live in here. So things like my 3D printer, my model painting, crafting, small kind of fine detail stuff, but also miter saws, big kind of workshop tools, woodworking tools, that unfortunately live in a crappy plastic shed at the top of my garden at the moment, which hasn't got the space to be used in any kind of meaningful way. What that's meant for me over the last few years is that every time I want to do something in that space, something that's going to be project related, it has to be something that I can start and finish in a day, and it has to be on a day where weather, and this is Britain we're talking about, is consistently dry, and that you can plan for being dry. Which means that my kind of crafting projects are often rushed. They're done outside because that's the only space that I've got, and you know, that in itself restricts me quite heavily. I also have a 3D printer, a UV resin printer. Those things put out quite a smell when they're in use, so running them in here while I'm working from home or just enjoying myself and kind of playing games in here is just not practical, because honestly it gives you a stonking headache when that stuff really gets going. So I'm also turning 42 very soon, and for my birthday this year I've decided that I'm going to put any money I receive and any kind of gifts and a bit of my own money towards a new 3D printer. I want a filament extrusion printer, and the same thing goes, although it doesn't create the smell, the noise of that running for 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 hours printing large print jobs is going to mean that it's not practical to run it in this room. So I have been preparing to build a workshop or a shed, an insulated shed. If I'm being brutally honest, it's an insulated shed. But this weekend, when I would have been making content, and a few weekends to come, because this might have an impact on my channel content, at least for the next couple of months while I'm putting this together, I am preparing to build a workshop. Now that workshop will live in my garden, just outside of my games room, next to an extension we recently had built. And I have had to, this weekend, clear the garden of a lot of old rubbish, break down some old wooden furniture, get rid of that wooden furniture, which we did. We burnt it, just because hiring a skip was going to be crazy money. And then I've had to raise the height of some of the slabs in the area that the shed is going to go, to get it all nice and level, ready to receive that new workshop when it turns up. I've bought a prefab. It's coming in about a week or so's time, so I'm really excited to receive that. But then I've got to build it, and then I've got to insulate it, paint it, and then move my stuff into it. So this is going to be kind of a multi-month project while I chip away at this in my spare time around the day job and the kids and this, my YouTube content. So the workshop's going to be 2.4 meters by 4 meters in size, which is a really good space. It perfectly fits the slabbed area that I've got. No more, no less. It's quite specific. But it is just a shed that I'm buying, but it is fully ready to be insulated and turned into a workshop. I'll have electrics in there. so that I can run all of my gadgets. I'll be able to do woodwork, I'll be able to do 3D printing. It's not going to be kind of a heavy woodworking shop. It's not going to be full of sawdust all the time. This is going to be a cleaner workshop. It's going to be more for making and painting and crafting, but it means that I can do bigger projects that take longer, that require glue ups, or I've always wanted to do work with resin. So things like resin pours and things like that. So really excited to get this workshop. I guess this video is kind of my way of apologising for not having proper content this week, but also letting you into what's going on and how this affects the game room, because it does affect the game room in a positive way. And I wanted to show you why. And I'm going to just get my iPhone out here and take you for a little walk and just explain what's going to change in here and what I'm hoping to be able to do over the next couple of months. So let's have a little look at how this affects the games room. So here we go. We're now over on the old mobile, and the big change that's going to come in here, and excuse the mess, the worktop is a bit mucky, is basically this corner. So if we just pan around the room, if you've seen the games room tour, you can see that's kind of my home working again. That's where I do my work and my editing. And you've got kind of my games collection, my Metal Gear Solid work around here, and then my retro collection at this end, and then kind of modern stuff over here. But here, with this crafting space, this worktop is something in the region of about 2 and a bit meters long, and about 60 or 70 centimeters deep, I think. It's a fairly standard sort of kitchen worktop size. And underneath it, I've got lots and lots of crafting materials and gadgets and tools that I use for various projects, like the airbrush, soldering irons, all sorts of stuff under there, the printer, some more tools. And then across the top of the worktop, unfortunately, it regularly looks like this. And this is because I've been doing some work in the house. So I've got, screws and gadgets and tools out. I've got bits that need to go away and some organisation. I actually picked these up from TK Maxx, super cheap. There is next week's pickup video hidden under there, so I won't spoil that, although the t-shirt does somewhat give away what's underneath there. But all this worktop basically is coming out. So all of that worktop will be going into the workshop, which will give me a huge amount of space. I've not decided quite what to do with the wall yet. This was a recent addition, little movie shelf, pulled out some old DVDs to go on the old Trinitron there, on my little weird portable retro station. But basically, all of this is coming out as part of the workshop and will move into the workshop, which is going to give me a huge amount of space. Now, I reckon that wall is probably somewhere between 2 and 3 meters from kind of door edge all the way over to the wall. We've got a boiler here to accommodate, but that's not too bad. And I've got 2 arcade one-up cabinets upstairs in the house, which my wife would very much like to see not be in the house anymore, that I'd like to bring back down here. They used to be in here. If you ever saw my podcast I used to do a couple of years ago with a friend, they were always in the background of that. And my intention is to bring those back down. I'm also thinking about moving Snake from down there and bringing him over here somewhere. Main reason for that is that I do use the, you can't really see it tucked behind those boxes, but there's a projector screen, or it's a photography backdrop really, but we use it with this projector, and I'd like to be able to get back to having little movie nights in here with the kids. I'm thinking about rejigging this space, so I might well move the Metal Gear Solid collection to a different format, maybe something like one of these nice glass cases from IKEA for them. I'm not quite sure how to display that yet. I'd like to keep them with Snake if I can, but not quite sure. And what I'd like to do here, rather than having my kind of office chair down here, which works perfectly well, is to actually be able to accommodate a small 2-seater sofa, so that when I have friends over, we've got space to sit and it's more comfortable. My kids can come in here and play with me, and it'll just make for a more comfortable environment when I'm watching movies or anything like that as well. So hopefully, I don't know how it's all going to work out yet, so I'm not going to fix the plans. When all of this moves, which is going to be a couple of months, I'm going to look at how best to utilise this space. Like I said, hopefully we'll bring Snake down. Hopefully we'll be able to accommodate some storage down here some way, maybe some Billy bookcases, and I can get some of my games down, because I would like to display some of my nicer games. They're all sort of stuck in tubs at the moment, which is practical, but not that easy to get them out when you want to play them, and it might make for a nice YouTube backdrop actually to have kind of a bit of a curated shelf here with some of my goodies on. So that's where we're at the moment, and that's what I wanted to give you an update on. So there you go. As I say, not my usual content this week, and my apologies for that. Hopefully, though, you'll bear with me as I'm doing this project. It's going to probably take me a couple of months on and off, and I'm going to be doing it at weekends around my personal life. It's my birthday next weekend, which basically writes that weekend off for any real work anyway, but my shed itself isn't going to be delivered until I think it's like early March, which is why I've had to get all this groundwork done beforehand, so this weekend was an absolute must. My back is aching, my fingers are aching. I'm old now.
I'm so old.
I shouldn't be doing this kind of level of physical labour. It's taken best part of 2 days to get all of that work done, whether it's the clearing and then the relaying of all the slabs and the copious amounts of bags of gravel and sand that I had to go and buy and shift back and forth from B&Q. So please do bear with me. It's going to be exciting. I'll try and show you as it's all sort of happening. If you're interested, if you say you don't want to see that, then of course I'll keep it off the channel. But if you like those kind of builds or those progress pieces, then I'll happily share. And if you'd like to see anything from the 3D printer or any of my kind of crafting in the future, then let me know. I appreciate that I've kind of turned this more into a gaming channel now, and that's absolutely fine. I love doing gaming content and will continue to do so. But I might be able to use the 3D printer to do some cool gaming related projects or prints. I'll be able to use my UV printer as well, perhaps for some miniatures, maybe some collectibles, some custom handmade collectibles that could go on shelves. I don't know, loads of things I could do with it. So I'm really excited to finally get to build this space that I've been craving for so long now. And I mean, it has been years that I've wanted to do this. I've been buying these tools and finding them I've been trying to get efficient and store them in different ways and creatively reimagine space, but I got to a point where I said to my other half, look, I really want to do this year. This is the year for me to kind of really start to invest that time. My kids are getting to the age now, my eldest at least, where she'd love to do some projects in there. The amount of videos I watch of people making cool terrain for tabletop gaming, and I think, I'd love to have a go at that. Now I'll be able to. So it's really exciting. So apologies that this isn't my usual content. Please bear with me. If you're excited or interested in seeing how this develops, I can always do a time lapse as I attempt to fumble this prefab shed together, show you how it's developing, and maybe just add that content at the end of my usual videos, just so that you can see it without taking away from usual content. Next week will be a pickups video, so that will be normal service. Don't worry about that. And then we'll see how things go through March and April as I start to put this workshop together. I'll try not to affect my times too much and my kind of contributions to the channel, but if it does, then I apologise, but please do stick with me. So that's it. Thanks for watching. As always, if you haven't already, like and subscribe, especially if you want to see where this journey goes. But I'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much for sticking with me and for your patience. Cheers.